Let's go back to the wrestling a little
Okay,
bit. Like,
sure.
So you don't know his favorite wrestler, but
I don't know his favorite wrestler, but I'll find out today, and I'll get back to you on that.
yours.
So I'm very biased with this answer. The thing that makes me a fan of people is how they are as humans. You know, it has to be Mick Foley. But once again, very biased.
You do have you have a bit of a relationship with Mick Foley.
I do.
Yeah, it's you have a father obviously, but like he's that cool uncle or something. Let's explain a little bit about your relationship with Mick Foley? I think he's a wonderful guy.
He is.
He's always. I've known him since Joe Goodhart. Remember Joe Goodhart? That's where I first met him. Joe Goodhart,
Okay.
Tri-State Wrestling Alliance.
Okay.
He used to have this like brown convertible LeBaron, like this brown Chrysler convertible LeBaron, I think it was. And
Cool.
he'd put the roof up, but there was holes in the roof and stuff. And it'd be like wintertime. And then you just see this guy, he's just riding. And he's tall, right? People don't realize how tall he was. Like he looks a little shorter now, but from all the injuries, I think he carried, his posture's a little like from all being tossed off the top of flipping cages and just abusing yourself for all these years for everybody's entertainment. I'd like to thank you for that. Mick, Cactus, whatever you know him as, Dude Love, Mankind. Thank you for all those wonderful, wonderful years of entertainment and abusing your body for our entertainment and just what an amazing guy. But I met him all the way back then, and I used to have some old pictures of him and Luna when he was first starting out, when he was super young. So a little bit before, like in between, the pictures were in between when he was. Like, say for example, if you watch the Dynamite Kid thing when he worked Dynamite Kid and he worked on that, but the pictures in between that when he's finding himself, but he was like, he's really good looking. He was good looking.
Oh,
He
yeah.
had some hair. He had a look about him, and he was good looking. He took some promo pictures with her, and I was like, oh wow, if I could find those now, I think those would be like really, they're really cool. But it was just. Yeah, but then he was sweet then. I didn't get to know him that much then, but then I moved on, and then, like as I it was when I was in, like, I would go up before I was hired under contract as Gangrel, like, I'd go and do like job match enhancement matches, extra work and stuff. I'd work as the Black Phantom, this and that. And always super, super supportive to me. Always knows your name, kind of, he knows everybody's name. Always wants to help and give back to kids and do a lot of things. So like, I think he's a tremendous human being like that. Never asked for money. Just an amazing individual. And then we'd have running jokes. He'd always like, we'd run when I was working as Gangrel, then, and full time with them and everything. He'd always be like, David, you're the most injured wrestler in pro wrestling. Cause I was in there because they're popping my shoulders back in. And back then, I would tear a pec. I tore a pec, dislocated my shoulder in a match, and went back and they had this Shih-Tzu guy. He popped my shoulder and I kept saying, "Oh, I think it's my pec that's tore," and or something. I had this thing. He goes, "Oh, baby, it's just the pain. It's swollen." He was like a French dude. I forget his name. Francis of Shot or something. I don't know. But he was always there. He just popped that shoulder in, and I got to Detroit, across the border. It happened in Canada in a match with D'Lo Brown, and then I was like just black from down because I had torn my pec, but I would hide it. I had the white puffy shirt with the sleeves, I had to pimp the shirt. So I think I worked Val Venus on a live Raw that next day, and then I just switched how I started. You see me punching left and doing a lot of things. I didn't do a lot of stuff on right, but he knew that because he was kind of the same way. We were like just totally like hiding our injuries and just moving forward and stuff like that. So we would always like meet up in the training room. So we were like, hey, funny to, not surprised to see you here.
Right.
But I wasn't falling off a top of cages and getting my tooth through my nose or taking 60 sick chair shots to the head while my hands are handcuffed by The Rock, who will bring it when he swings a chair. He doesn't mean when he says bring it or whatever his tattoo says, he's bringing it. So
yeah.
I was there for that. I remember being like, when he was hitting him in the head with those chair shots, I can't remember what building it was, but I remember just being like, nauseous, going, oh,
it's hard to
stop
watch.
Stop, no more, no more. So it's like, been like Rocky with Apollo Creed, like, I should threw the towel in. Like,
right?
Oh, you can see my Rocky lip.
Didn't know you were an impressionist, but here we are.
So, I was thinking somebody needs to throw a towel in, but man, he came out to the other side smiling, and what a great human being. So if you want to tell
really
us,
is.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. That's what we're here for, is for the stories.
Ramble on about him, but tell us a little bit of your history with him, and what an amazing guy you believe he is.
Absolutely. I met Mick. He was touring kind of like improvs and comedy shows, and he does a set. He has multiple sets now because he's been doing it for quite a few years, but it's not necessarily comedy, but his stories are comedic. And I met him at one of the shows, and I told him, I was trying to get into the wrestling industry in whatever avenue I could. I knew I didn't want to actually wrestle. I did try once, and it was not for me. They're like, do a somersault, and that was the end of my career. That was it. But
we'll come back to that.
Yeah. Oh God.
I'm curious about
that. We could talk about it.
Okay.
And so I mentioned that to him, and so we kind of kept in touch. And he was doing an event before Money in the Bank, which I think was in Boston. And so I flew out there and I hosted a Q&A panel for him at his event. And he had challenged me to interview him with questions that he's never been asked before, which is definitely challenging for somebody that, he's been in this business for so long, and I'm sure he's been asked it all. And I interviewed him, and he said they were all original questions. And so from then we just kind of like kept in touch. And whenever he was doing live events, he would have me come in to, host his show, do the Q&As, and, being in the car together, we're both obsessed with Jim Croce, so like jamming out to Jim Croce music. He's amazing. Yeah, my favorite. Oh yeah. And so we just built this relationship and sing it. First thing that I like to do. Yes. Oh, so good. And then just seeing him around and just getting to know him as a person.
Sing. I just heard a glimpse.
Secrets out there.
Okay.
But and then he got ordained to officiate, my wedding to my amazing husband Vincent, and that was one of the best moments of my life, and he was there for it. He's just the best.
Well,
So.
I love the fact that you said you're an amazing husband. So that's great. That's
great.
That means you're happy, and that's good.
I
now, you didn't just say it because you're on here and you had to, right?
No.
I felt it. I felt like you meant that.
No, he's the best.
So, okay, awesome. So let's go back to these questions.
Yes, the questions.
So how did that come to, so he asked to interview, he challenged you. He challenged right?
Me.
So you're prepped for that. I believe in the 6 Ps. You know my 6 Ps?
No.
Like I picked them up in England from a promoter named Brian Dixon. I think he picked them up from the Royal Military. But so it's a bit of an English 6 Ps.
Okay, let's hear
some
it.
of the words. So proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Right? So it's the 6 Ps. So a lot of people have the 5 Ps, but I don't know what it is. Preparation, something. But it's all in the same effect. I think the English just had to add piss poor or something. So they added piss to it, so piss poor. So that became the 6 P. But so what all right, so you're challenged. So here you go. You're this little girl. Mick Foley,
Yeah.
Mick Foley. So you go to your parents. Did you go to your parents? I can picture going to your parents going, Mick Foley challenged me to ask 6 questions. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna answer these 6 questions? Well, no, I mean, just knowing your energy, I could see that this is a thing for you. This is gonna be like a process. So
it was.
So take us on that part of that.
The interesting thing was I was with my parents when he like officially invited me to come out to Boston. We were all on speakerphone together. So they're like, my parents being like huge wrestling fans, big Bruno Sammartino
and hello
people.
to your parents. I love your parents.
They're the best.
Great, especially to your mama.
Yeah. Namaste. But so they heard the conversation and they're like, all right. I had a couple weeks to prepare. I read every single one of his books he ever put out.
Ooh, how many books has he put out?
I think I read 3.
But they're not little. They're like
no. They're like 800 pages.
I can remember him and Al Snow always, and they used to tell me, David, you need to write down your everyday events. Like, I can't even remember what I did this morning. I probably should have wrote down, but I'm pretty sure I had coffee because I walked in here with it. I could still see the cup. So, but they would do that. I remember they would write that, and I so wish I would have listened to them. But so you read all of his.
I read all the books, and I kind of like took notes of things that maybe other people would just pass by. And I think a lot of people are more like wrestling journalists, where I don't consider myself that. I'm not a historian. I'm a fan.
Cadet.
I'm Cadet. And I, so I tried to ask the things that about like roller coasters. I know like he's a huge fan. I don't think he does roller coasters anymore, but
Oh, I could tell you a roller coaster story.
Oh, please do. Do you
Well,
have a
look
roller
into the
coaster
books.
story?
We'll come back to
Okay.
roller coasters.
Okay, we'll circle back.
Raymond, you remember roller coasters. Give us a roller coaster sign.
Write it down, Raymond. But yeah, so I was asking about roller coasters. I mean, gosh, I'd really. Oh, here's the crazy thing about what happened. So a friend of mine came to film it because we wanted it to be, professional for my first interview with Mick Foley, and the SD card that we used in my camera got like destroyed. It was like devastating. I don't know what happened when we tried to upload it.
Camera was fine, but the SD card was trashed.
All the footage
So now
was gone.
From the
SD card. So we had to find like a person. I don't remember where they ended up being, and we sent them the SD card.
The footage of Mick Foley, your interview was gone.
Yeah, but
wow.
because the
So
card
this is
was
your one
corrupted.
chance. It's like Eminem, like,
I know.
I can hear that song playing. Puke on my mom's spaghetti or something on my sweater.
Very close. That is almost the lyrics. Yes.
Like,
And so I found somebody that was able to like restore the card, but it wasn't, it wasn't perfect, but I still put it out there. It's still on my YouTube. Yeah.
How do you think your life would have went if you couldn't have restored that card? Do you?
I think Mick would have been the person to let me interview him again. Obviously with new questions. You can't do the same thing twice, but he's the type of guy that would have understood. But I in those couple weeks when I was waiting to get it back was just so devastated.
I can only imagine. So you say he's a big roller coaster fan?
Yeah. Yeah.